Sir? Excuse me, sir?
Ma'am?
How do you feel about the Ostrich Effect?
Keep your head in the sand. What are you, yellow?
Excuse me, sir? How do you feel about people being misdiagnosed? Maybe ending up homeless, not having a home.
That's a pretty loaded question. They're two separate questions. Being misdiagnosed, I don't know. I think my diagnosis is quite accurate as far as being homeless. In Toronto or in general?
When people throw their heads in the sand, for instance, do you think it's good or bad that people ignore things around them?
Depends on what they're ignoring it for. What kind of progress are you making when you're ignoring everything else in that?
Absolutely.
There's times where it's just a coping mechanism and you're ignoring things that you really shouldn't and could be detrimental to your future or somebody else's. Or let's say like legality. Like go to your fucking court date, don't ignore that. However, if you're in the creative arts, sometimes it's nice to ignore everything else around you. So you can just focus on your own thing and it becomes more of a pure expression of whatever you want to.
How do you feel about the term do no harm?
Do harm to who? Sometimes people gotta get fucking harmed.
Everyone's done.
Yeah. So I've harmed a lot of people and I'm proud of every time that I did because they fucking deserved it.
That's understandable.
Sorry, I'm talking about physical harm.
Absolutely understandable.
I've emotionally harmed people that did not deserve it.
How long have you lived in Toronto?
My entire life. Except for when I was ages about 9 until 20. But I was in the suburbs.
Understood. And do you feel like people in Toronto, and I'm going to dissect, or I guess dichotomize, humans as in the population of people who pay taxes and go to work?
Of the world or the country?
Well, let's just go with Toronto for now.
Okay.
And people who work for the government or the elite. So sometimes you see somebody on the street overdosing, right?
Yeah.
Or you see somebody crying and they're wearing ripped pants, right?
Happens regularly.
Would you help somebody?
100%. I've Narcaned a dude within the last couple of months. Usually every couple of months I will.
Mm-hmm.
If they're crying, absolutely. I don't want to intrude, but I'll try and make eye contact and
Absolutely.
see what it is. Usually, like if it's a breakup,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot of the time, and this isn't necessarily homeless. Like I see this stuff more often, not people living on the streets. I see this like in a bar or somebody sitting on their front porch that's sitting and crying.
And how do you feel about the fact that, so for instance, if you own the lease on an apartment and your girlfriend is there, but she's not on the lease, she can get charged with break and enter with intent plus mischief under 5, which is 25 years in jail, possibly.
Have you filed taxes together as common law?
Well, no. Or let's say you have a girlfriend and she has an 18-year-old or 19-year-old son, right?
Okay.
And she leaves. So the 19-year-old son comes in one day from school and you charge them with break and enter
Why the fuck would you do that?
because you're a piece of shit. But the thing is that
that's
it's possible. So what would you say about that law?
I think the law could only be upheld depending on their intent to enter.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they are in any way tied to you. Let's say you have a joint bank account. Do they have possessions of their own inside your house that they're entitled to? Did you open
Ladies,
the door and
can I ask you a
allow them
question?
So sorry, we're walking.
We're asking. I'm filming. I work for Teton Films. We're asking about the Ostrich Effect.
They're all good. Maybe later.
Yeah, it depends. Do they have possessions of their own in that house that they're entitled to get? Did you open the door for them?
Yeah.
Have you refused them prior?
Open the door,
there's
Richard.
so much that would lead up to whether that would be a prosecutable offense.
Absolutely. So, well, seeing that, what about people who are currently in encampments? Do you think the laws of break and enter and current laws apply to that? So let's say somebody goes into someone's tent and they steal something.
Yeah, that's fucking theft. I would likely treat that. This is me. I don't know the law. I treat that the same as if I was sleeping in my car and someone broke into my car. That's my fucking home. That's my possession. You're not allowed.
You're getting good angles here.
You're not allowed to fucking enter that shit. Whether it's illegal or illegal in Canada, it doesn't fucking matter. If you're an illegal immigrant, I'm not allowed to go in your pocket and take your fucking money.
Okay. Well, I have another question for you.
I hope it's indictable.
It's a good, right? The one that's a hybrid, I think, is Highway Traffic Act. So, currently, people who are living in encampments, they have to buy the tents, right? So it has to be some sort of community. So you're living close to people within a couple of meters, right? So, have you ever seen anybody pregnant with children or a family?
In an encampment?
Yep.
I don't frequent them, so no, I have not.
Well,
but that's not to claim that they don't exist. I just don't.
Apparently,
not exposed to encampment.
I've done some research and I've visited places, and I know a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends live in encampments. When my boyfriend and I break up, sometimes I go sleep with my friends in their tents. So it's a natural, good people. But what I have found out personally, and I want to ask your opinion on this, because we are in downtown Toronto and I want to see what other people say. Why is it that you have to be a drug addict and like a punk or, disheveled to live in a tent encampment? So people who are, I have several videos and documentation.
Can I answer before you carry
Yeah,
on?
go ahead.
I don't think you have to be, but I think an encampment would make you disheveled pretty good.
But the thing is that human beings have lived in yurts and all these things. You don't have to be a drug addict, or you don't have to drink constantly, yell at people, or become, it's becoming banditry. So don't you think that people with actual families and are able to, well, yeah, it's I have a video I found of some people in Kensington Market Park. I set up a tent for a friend of mine who is a Ukrainian veteran from the war, doesn't speak English, just got back from Winnipeg about a month ago, and he was in the French Foreign Legion for about 8 years as a sniper, Special Forces. And my friend Jungle Jim donated a tent, 2 tents. He was a biker for a long time, and he donated that. And I was living in the tent, right? I was living in a tent encampment, right? So I didn't have a place to go. So what they did was they beat me up. They ripped my tent apart, which was given to me by Jungle Jim the biker.
Can I ask who did this?
Mimi. Little Miss Mimi. And
not the cops.
No, Mimi. Like they came in and then, so they're bandits, yeah. After that, a couple of days later, they attacked the film director that's working on this film at the Mexican restaurant just a little bit beside Amadeus. And he was attacked. They said, do you want a 9 or 13? Which means you want a gun or a knife. Then they threatened my life. They stole everything. And they're literally becoming a group of bandits. So let's say don't you think that people who are not drug addicts, people who don't have guns, don't have knives, don't drink, should be more, but don't you think that those people should be more, those should be the people living in the villages in the city?
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody should have to live in a tent in the first place.
Absolutely.
The systems aren't in place to prevent that from happening. Some people might choose it, some people might like it.
Absolutely, you're completely right.
I guarantee that would be a small percentage of the ones who actually are.
Well, I mean, what the current rate of
I think the housing issue would solve most of this shit.
Well, OW pays what, $665 a month?
I wouldn't know.
Until he works, yeah. And then that is literally, I think that it is literally pushing people to start dealing drugs, start prostitution, and it is because if you lose that, you don't have that cornerstone.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's where the problem would.
So, would you blame the government for that? Or why don't you think that people? Do you think that as human beings, do you think we should stand up?
Really make a stance. Like, I don't really know what's available for these people, but if there's this many people, a lot of my friends included, are homeless, that leads me to believe that there's not a structure in place by the government to take care of homelessness. To me, that seems like a housing issue. Whether the government's at fault for it is secondary.
But who would be at fault?
Is secondary. It doesn't matter who's at fault of it. Who can fix it?
But we're going.
government can
But
fix it.
This is what we're trying to do right now with this video. With you talking to me, we're trying to raise awareness. We are trying to fix it because nobody's fixing it. Nobody's standing up.
I'd rather focus on who can fix it rather than.
So
who's
why is it?
the
Why
cause.
this should not be fair that people are getting tents, and tents are expensive, right? So they're going around. They're getting free food. They're getting money from the government. So basically, getting $700 a month. They're not paying rent. They're going around. They're doing drugs, and they're making it impossible for people that actually need, help. Like you don't have to do drugs and drink. But I've never seen a sober person in one of those.
Well, then fucking turn the camera off and let's point them out and let's go sort that shit.
All right, excellent.
You know.
Well, that's a brother of the highest order, right? And a
we
sister.
we got people to take care of that shit.
Exactly. So this is a message to everyone who actually listens to the end of this video. Rise up. Stop this. And these are bandits. They're bad people. They're bullies. And they're taking away good things from good people.
If I could just say something, just help
Anything.
Help your fellow man. Don't be a bullshit fucking bandit. Certainly don't steal from the fucking unfortunate. Just fucking spread love, be good, and fucking take care of each other. It
Absolutely.
ain't fucking hard, man. If you got $2, give them both away to someone else. That's the best $2 you'll ever fucking spend.
That's my boy.
Amen.
Amen.